She stood near the counter with her hands folded so tightly that her knuckles had gone white, as if she were holding herself together by force alone. The smell of fried chicken and warm bread filled the fast food restaurant, but to her it was only a reminder of how empty her stomach felt and how much worse her children's hunger must be by now. Her coat was thin, a hand-me-down from someone who had once been taller and broader, and the sleeves fell past her wrists. Strands of dark hair escaped her loose ponytail, framing a face that carried exhaustion like a permanent shadow. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, her voice almost swallowed by the hum of the soda machine. "I'm not asking for money, just, if there's anything you're going to throw away, anything at all." The cashier, a teenage girl with braces and nervous eyes, froze. She glanced toward the office door, where the manager stood with his arms crossed, already watching. The girl opened her mouth, then closed it again, fear tightening her shoulders. The manager stepped forward, his shoes striking the tile with sharp, impatient sounds. He was a broad man with a trimmed beard and a red polo shirt stretched tight across his chest. Authority sat on him like armor, and he wore it proudly. "You can't do this here," he said loudly, making sure everyone in the restaurant could hear. "This isn't a charity. If you want food, you pay like everyone else." The woman nodded quickly. "I understand, I do. I just thought maybe I said no." His voice rose, sharp and cutting. "We don't give out free food. If I let you stay, next thing you know, this place will be full of beggars." The word hit her harder than a shove. Beggar. She swallowed, her eyes dropping to the floor. Around them, customers pretended not to listen, suddenly very interested in their fries or their phones. A man at a corner table frowned but said nothing. "I'll go," she said softly. "I'm sorry for bothering you." She turned toward the door, relief mixing with shame. At least it was over. At least she hadn't cried. But the manager wasn't done. "Don't come back," he barked. "And don't try this at any other locations either. We talk to each other, you know." She flinched as if he had struck her. Her hand reached for the door handle, trembling. "Hey," he suddenly shouted again. She froze. "You think I don't know what people like you do?" He continued, stepping closer. "You come in here, make a scene, try to get sympathy, maybe steal something on the way out." "I would never," her voice broke, tears finally spilling over. "I just wanted food for my kids. That should have ended it. Any decent person would have stopped there." But something in the manager's eyes hardened, as if her tears only irritated him further. "Get out," he said, and then, inexplicably, he put his hand on her shoulder and shoved. It wasn't a hard shove, not enough to send her to the ground, but enough to cross a line that could not be uncrossed. She stumbled, catching herself against the door. The restaurant went completely silent. The bell over the entrance jingled as the door swung open, and cold air rushed in. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the sound came. It started as a low rumble, distant but unmistakable, like thunder rolling across asphalt. Engines, not one or two, but many, growing louder by the second. The manager scoffed. "What now?" he muttered, turning back toward the counter. The woman stood frozen, tears streaking her cheeks as the rumble swelled into a roar. Outside, shadows moved past the windows, large and fast. Tires screeched as bikes pulled into the parking lot, one after another, chrome flashing under the streetlights. The door opened again, and again, and again. Leather jackets filled the entrance, patched and worn, each one telling a story. Heavy boots hit the floor in steady, deliberate steps. The smell of oil and leather mixed with grease and salt. Helmets were tucked under arms and faces, old, young, scarred, bearded, turned toward the scene inside. At the front of them stood a tall man with silver threaded through his beard and eyes that missed nothing. His jacket bore a large patch on the back, a winged skull over crossed pistons. Beneath it, in smaller letters, the name of their club. He took one look at the woman by the door, her tear-streaked face and shaking hands, and then at the manager, whose confident posture had begun to falter. "What's going on here?" the biker asked calmly. The manager straightened. "This doesn't concern you. We're dealing with a trespasser." The biker's eyes narrowed slightly. "That's so." Another biker stepped forward, a woman with a long braid and arms covered in tattoos. "Funny," she said, glancing at the woman by the door. "She doesn't look like trouble to me." The manager laughed nervously. "Look, I don't know who you think you are, but you can't intimidate me. I have the right to remove people who, you put your hands on her," the first biker said quietly. The manager opened his mouth, then closed it again. Several customers had pulled out their phones now, recording openly. The teenage cashier stared at the bikers with wide eyes, something like awe flickering through her fear. She was causing a disturbance, the manager snapped. I barely touched her. The woman finally found her voice. Please, she whispered, not sure who she was speaking to anymore. I don't want any trouble. The biker turned to her, his expression softening in a way that seemed almost impossible given his size. Ma'am, he said gently, are you okay? She nodded, though it wasn't entirely true. Do you have kids? The woman biker asked. Yes, she said too. They're waiting for me at home. The silence that followed felt heavy charged. The silver-bearded biker exhaled slowly. You hear that? He said to the manager. She asked for food for her children, and you shoved her. I told you you shoved her. The biker repeated louder now in front of witnesses. The manager took a step back. For the first time, uncertainty crept into his eyes. You can't threaten me, I'll call the police. One of the bikers in the back chuckled. Go ahead. The manager hesitated, then pulled out his phone with shaking hands. Before you do that, the silver-bearded biker said, you might want to hear what we have to say. The manager swallowed. I'm listening. We just came from a charity ride, the biker continued, raised money for families who can't afford groceries this winter. Kids mostly, you know how many? He didn't wait for an answer. A lot, and every single one of us has a soft spot for kids going hungry. He took a step closer. The manager backed up until he hit the counter. You didn't just refuse her food, the biker said. You humiliated her, you hurt her, and you did it because you thought you could. That's not. And now, the biker went on, his voice still controlled but carrying a steel edge. You're going to fix it. The manager looked around wildly. The restaurant was full of leather and patches now, a wall of silent witnesses. Customers pressed themselves back into their booths. The cashier clutched the edge of the counter. How? The manager asked weakly. The biker gestured toward the woman. You're going to apologize. The manager hesitated, pride warring with fear. I said. The biker repeated, you're going to apologize. The manager's shoulders sagged. He turned toward the woman, his voice tight. I'm sorry. The biker shook his head. Try again. The manager closed his eyes. I'm sorry, he said louder, forcing the words out. I shouldn't have touched you or spoken to you like that. The woman nodded, tears still falling, but something in her posture eased, and, the biker added, you're going to give her food, enough for her and her kids, right now. That's against policy, so is putting your hands on a customer, the biker said. The manager looked at the cashier. Make it, he muttered, whatever she wants. The cashier sprang into action, hands moving quickly as she filled bags with burgers, fries, and wrapped sandwiches. Another biker tossed a few bills onto the counter. That's for anyone else who wants to eat, he said. Keep the change. The woman stared at the bags as they were handed to her, disbelief etched across her face. I can't take all this, she said. It's too much. The biker smiled faintly. For you it's dinner, for us it's nothing. She took the bags with shaking hands. Thank you, she whispered. I don't even know what to say. Say you'll take care of those kids, the woman biker replied. That's enough. As the woman turned toward the door, the manager spoke again, panic edging his voice. You can't just come in here and... The silver-bearded biker turned back to him, eyes cold now. We can, he said. And we did. The manager fell silent. The bikers watched as the woman stepped outside, the cold air biting at her cheeks. She paused on the sidewalk, looking at the line of motorcycles gleaming under the lights. One of the bikers held the door open for her, nodding respectfully. She walked past them, clutching the food like a lifeline. Inside, the tension slowly began to ease. Some bikers ordered food, others leaned against the walls, chatting quietly. They didn't shout or threaten. They simply existed, a presence that could not be ignored. The manager retreated to his office, slamming the door behind him. The silver-bearded biker approached the cashier. You did good, he said gently. She nodded, tears in her eyes. He does that sometimes, she admitted. I hate it. Stand up when you can, he replied, and when you can't, remember you're not alone. Outside, the woman reached the bus stop at the corner. She sat down heavily, the bags at her feet, and finally let herself cry. Not from shame this time, but from relief. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A message from her oldest. Are you coming back soon? We're hungry. She wiped her face and typed back. I'm on my way. I have food. Behind her, engines roared to life again. She turned as the bikers mounted their bikes, one by one, pulling out of the lot in a thunderous wave. As they passed, a few of them lifted their hands in a brief salute. She raised her own hand in return, smiling through her tears. The restaurant door closed, the bell jingling softly, as if nothing extraordinary had happened at all. But for her, and for the manager who sat alone in his office staring at his trembling hands, nothing would ever feel quite the same again.